Hello everyone, it's Melanie Wood, founder and owner of Speaking Styles, and today I am joined by Craig. He is in Edinburgh in the UK in Scotland, so it's his morning, Australia in the afternoon. So Craig, welcome. You look wide awake already for 7 o'clock in the morning, so well done to you. And so we're going to chat a little bit more to Craig, and Craig can talk a little bit more about his business. And Craig and I have been working together over the time, and especially during really the peak of COVID as well, towards the beginning of this year. And Craig has an amazing business, Combat Solutions, which he's going to share a little bit more about, which is super amazing. So welcome, Craig. How are you going?
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here with you. Yes, doing really well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, 7 a.m. here, but one of the stories we'll go into actually is that thanks to yourself, I joined the 4:30 a.m. club. So so that's been beneficial, hasn't it? You know, waking up at 4:30 a.m. it does have its benefits.
Oh yes, it definitely does. It definitely does, and I thank you for coming on board, because that's not something that a lot of people would do, especially not in Scotland. But luckily, it has been summer.
Yeah, we did have the head start a little bit there. Don't get me wrong. It was a habit that needed. It's great to get that habit in place now, because I think starting a habit in the middle of winter is even harder.
Definitely. So share with us a little bit more about Combat Solutions.
Absolutely. So, so Combat Solutions is a combat sports club and social club that exists in Edinburgh. It's existed for the last 7 years, and it offers usually between sort of 5 and 6 classes a week in a blend of combat inspired fitness. But the other side of it, other than sort of those sorts of classes, is a kind of a regular social events, almost on like a fortnightly basis, for people to come and make friends, meet new people. And it's been great if you are new to the city, or if you're a student and you're here for a semester, maybe on an Erasmus year, or this is your home and this is just something that complements your existing fitness routines. The business itself and the format of it had existed for 7 years, and was going really well. It always been a popular class. We're right in the city centre, right next to the meadows, inside one of the Edinburgh Council run schools that we have a let for. And again, great. It's been going from sort of strength to strength. And then COVID-19 hit, and suddenly everything stopped, and we couldn't train indoors. And not only that, the very social fabric of what we do is also hit, because now, you know, staying in contact, meeting up, organizing walks and events is suddenly a real issue to even think about, and for people to feel comfortable doing.
Definitely. And that's such a big importance of Combat Solutions, of the social, the community, like all of that is so important to you and what you've created. And yeah, and then COVID hits, it really impacted you as well as a lot of other people, but in your field of what you do, because everything's contact and in person as well. And we met back in, I think, April, May time, didn't we? And I was on hosting a webinar with Declan, who you've now really connected with as well. But just to let everybody know, like prior to us meeting each other on that webinar, you know, what's kind of some areas that you were struggling with, which again would have been COVID-19 when that hit, because you suddenly were probably in a situation going, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? So share a little bit more of when COVID hit, you know, what you were feeling, what you were going through, and really what you were looking at doing.
Absolutely, no, with pleasure. So just before we had met, a year prior to it, I went from being one of the lead instructors to actually the business owner. Mm-hmm. So there was a transition there. So but prior to meeting you, I'd been running the business sort of solely for probably around about 9 months. So for me, this was a huge undertaking to basically be running this solo. So I think when I met yourself and attended the webinar with yourself and Declan, which was incredible for anyone who's not done any of, or attended any of the webinars that Melanie has or has done with other guests, and some of the ones that are coming up as well. Please do look into them, because they are invaluable. Especially a really quality, good use of your time. I would say that absolutely honestly was like, okay, look, here's what, like, not only has, like, how can I continue with this business? Do I have what it takes to make this business success in its current format? Never mind with what's going on with this pandemic. And it's, I think, for anybody running a business of any kind, it requires a certain kind of character, and sometimes you do question, do I have that character, that skill set? And I think that was the reason I reached out to Melanie, to yourself, was I thought I need to basically wise myself up, see things see things as they are, not just the bubble that I've been in for the last maybe 9 months prior to COVID-19. And to really look at what can I do in terms of sort of business management skills, what can I do in terms of marketing, what can I do even now to sort of pivot and survive essentially a global pandemic.
Absolutely, and you have done amazing, absolutely amazing, working together, but again, changing that mindset and changing the perspective and really running with all of that, even though there was so much unknown of all of that, you really then transferred everything to online and really grew the business. Definitely. So share with us as well that since we did work together, what was kind of some things that you really learned throughout our time together, but also things that you might have learned that you thought, I never even thought about doing those things. Like we talked around doing webinars and podcasts, but also how you grew the business as well. But what was kind of some of the key learnings that you had through that time?
There were a few things. I think that one of the skills I learned, and it was kind of through it wasn't a nonchalance from yourself. It was just kind of like, no, this is what you can do, and this is what you have to do, and this is what you can do. And I think one of these was, for example, was in terms of sort of refining and polishing, delivering online classes via either Facebook Live, but also you're encouraging me to try and, not necessarily do them via Facebook Live, go on to Zoom. And that Zoom was also a way to get almost like a dedicated kind of captive audience who've booked in, not just Facebook Live, whereby it's a wee bit random whether people have turned up at the time and whether they'll watch it later on or not. So that was really helpful. I think some of the key practical things was presentation on camera. For example, rather than sort of like starting off with the camera set and looking at my space, which was actually my parents' garden, to start doing these classes, and then me walking out in front of the camera, start off to camera, speak to camera, engage with your audience through that. Hugely important things like having a quality microphone, because my own microphone on my phone was not particularly great. Yeah. And just getting the quality of those. And I noticed hugely, first of all, that when those fundamentals improved, engagement improved as well. So presentation and delivery was a huge part of what was the first step with you and I speaking. I think immediate things I took on. Secondly was, I think it was one of the most useful things was having your expertise, Melanie, to see the kind of almost see things from above, where your business is, what it can do, what it's not doing, and where there's some untapped areas. Yeah. So for example, when we got on to speaking about webinars, for example, I think when I kind of was able to highlight the things that I was looking to do in terms of, I'd love to kind of like, get other specialists involved in this, for example, other instructors in a different sense, for example, hypothetically. It seemed like a link I hadn't even thought about was, well, here's what, like, you already know Declan prior to this, Declan of Declan McLaughlin Nutrition. Yeah. He's already been one of your members for about a year. Now here's what, you've seen him on the webinar. Why don't you team up with him? And I think it was just sort of like, you know what, all these resources are right in front of me and you just don't necessarily see them because you're in your own little bubble. So that was the first thing, was looking at, okay, webinars, great. What other resources do you have? Can you change the way you deliver and what platforms you're on? Those were some of the key fundamentals I just never thought about. And they led on to some really nice things.
That's right, exactly. And then we looked at as well of looking at doing your free offerings and how you could then structure that with the calls that you were having, getting the leads, getting the calls, getting free sessions, and then brought into your online programs as well. So we really kind of honed in on having that structure and blueprint to your business.
I have to be honest with you, I was so nervous about even the idea of doing that, because it almost felt like I was like, can I charge for doing these Facebook Live videos? Can I charge for teaching online? Can I charge for this? Am I worth charging for this? Because it's not in person. But you were sort of you gave me probably one of the greatest gifts was actually valuing the fact that what you're giving is not only your expertise, but you're actually giving the members what's the word, you're giving them this you're giving them this consistency, this almost like this daily or weekly check-in with someone. A face that they're always going to see is going to be yours, Craig. Yeah. And especially during this time when the options for at the time were far less abundant. And that really nailed it to me, just the impact that Combat Solutions can have, and it made me realize my own self-worth. And that, I don't think I would have quite seen that in the same way had it not been for your conversation and our sort of, you know, weekly or fortnightly check-ins that we were doing. And these were not just check-ins, these were detailed breakdowns we were going through. We had, you know, anything from an hour to 90 minutes. We were going really deep into the surface. It was there was nothing sort of top layer. It was really deep stuff, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, definitely. And because you were in that situation where you were coachable and you really took on board everything that I was suggesting, and you would go and you would run with it. Like literally every time we had our session, like you would go away and you would do everything, whether you were scared or not with certain aspects of it, you did it anyway. And that's the most important thing. Like, you've grown your business, but you've also pivoted in a global pandemic from something that was all in person, all contact in person, that was taken away from you, and you were able to do that and learn so many skills that, yeah, as you say, you wouldn't have learned if it hadn't have been for the pandemic, which is now going to give you so much moving forward as well, as things are coming back into in person. Even though you can only do it outdoors, you've now got those skills to be able to run with that and be able to do that no matter what's happening. And so share with us a little bit more about, so now where you currently are with the business and the classes. What's some things that you're doing at the moment?
So the classes that we're now doing, I originally had been wasn't even sure how to go about introducing a face-to-face element of classes, particularly during this. But Melanie, you encouraged me, look, here's what this is what's going on around the world, and you have to first of all stay within the guidelines, but don't just shut down or anything like that. Work within the guidelines, pivot and work around it, because there are always solutions. Yeah. So the first thing that I remember you and I speaking about was, is there any way that you can sort of, you know, can you get people together in smaller numbers? Mm-hmm. So, and we started off after maybe about a couple of months into the pandemic, here's what. I reached out to my core members who I was able to kind of keep together through what I called the active members forum. Those people who are still paying their memberships, whose memberships I hadn't frozen, but I said, look, if you're up for it, if you want to keep it running, we'll try and run some sessions. And it meant that some of the memberships were still kind of, you know, were still moving. Money was still coming in, but it was starting to come less and less. Yeah. By taking classes outdoors and almost kind of overcoming this sort of fear response, this natural response would be simply like to shut everything down, do nothing, and just stay indoors. Was okay, look, here's what. Do you and your flatmate, are you guys comfortable to train together? Great. Do you want to train together, first of all? That the desire has to be there. We can't manufacture that. When people would come together, like, here's what, has your flatmate been with us before? No. Have they got any sporting background? No. That's totally fine. Here's what, we'll go through it together. We'll train you guys up so that you can train together. And as long as you guys are happy and can be kind of reasonably exclusively trained together, there's no reason why we can't. It's safe, and we're outdoors, and we're not breaking any rules, and we're also keep making sure you guys are safe. I think just that I do feel that this was something that was encouraged a lot by yourself, was to, you know, keep moving forward towards your desired outcome.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Keep taking the steps forward. Be persistent and work around any little potholes or little hurdles and things like that, because these are just hurdles. They are things to overcome. The track, you're still moving. If you stop, you'll never get anywhere. That was, practically speaking, that's been a huge element. And now we're at the point where safely we're able to, under the guidelines, still able to train now outdoors with sufficiently large numbers, as long as people are able to observe social distancing. And because of the duty of care, the recommendations have gone out and more people have been coming along. So at the moment it's starting, and I kid you not, it's started to feel a lot more like the classes of old, the bustle, the energy of it. Provided, obviously, the numbers are contained and the partnering is overseen and managed by myself. But we're able to do so, and we've been able to do so really, really since about April, May time, really, when I think about it.
Yeah, which is so amazing, absolutely. And what's really kind of been and now having the global pandemic, but also now that you've got your mind and your perspective open to really what's possible for you and for Combat Solutions, you know, what's some things that might have been tinkering away in your head over this time of where you would like to take the business, and even it doesn't really matter. And the more that we've looked at this is that, yes, we're going through a global pandemic. However, there's still to be able to have a vision for where Combat Solutions is going to go now, even in this. So what's some things that you've maybe been working on behind the scenes, or some things that visions that you have coming up for Combat Solutions in the future?
When we spoke, it was always really helpful when we were you and I were talking, to not only take ideas I'd had already, but and air them, but also kind of get a little bit of kind of feedback on whether some of these were feasible. Things I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do this next goal for maybe another 2 years. Under normal situations, was like, no, Craig, you can do that now. You can do that now. There's ways around it. You know, don't defer your dreams unnecessarily. Don't, you know, if they can be achieved a lot sooner than you think. So my airing my somewhat nebulous plans at the time, what I would like to see Combat Solutions was to see Combat Solutions grow beyond just its existing classes, have the classes and the social element, and the really the classes and the social element is far more, feels a far more genuine, vibrant hub. That it's not just saying this, it actually means something and represents something that is adding to quality of life. And this is what I deeply believe. I've seen that while we've been able to continue with doing outdoor socials and going up hill walks, we just had one at the weekend actually up the Pentland Hills, fantastic. Yeah. The connectivity between people is actually so tangible and palatable, and it gives me a huge amount of happiness, and people seem to be really happy and enjoying themselves and feeling, again, it's adding to their quality of life. Yeah. I had wanted to continue that, to grow that, and to potentially, and this is, it started off as a potentially, it's now going to be a reality in some point in the near future, is we're going to satellite Combat Solutions into a second or even a third club, different city, different area. Now, it starts off always from humble beginnings, but what I'm aiming to do is take the existing model, which is still valid, because it comes down to offering people something that is fun, they want to do, has got a lot of skill set cloaked underneath what is a very kind of sociable, warm exterior. What I wanted to do with this, my vision is to create a second, maybe even a third club, franchise it out, build up and have other expertise and instructors, and also have Combat Solutions as not only a social hub, but a hub for services as well, promoting other local businesses. It was just an incredible piece, very fortuitous, and this is the power of anyone's connections that you do have, people that are in your circle. For example, and I'll mention him again, Declan was one of them. Declan, again, from a couple of different groups that he works for, but also as himself, Declan McLaughlin Nutrition. Again, he's now part of our referral scheme now. So if, in terms of when people bring members along, if they wish, there's an option to choose a half an hour free consultation with him, again, to support local business. And again, it encourages this sort of like, you know, small business startups to all be together. And again, this is now another element of community, not just social, in terms of small businesses, which of course have had a huge struggle over the pandemic, and that's something that's really important. And it's not just confined to one, there's various others as well. In terms of where I'd like it to go, was also kind of broaden it out to provide different services. Can I bring on other people? And there's a couple of sort of instructors at the moment who are just starting to kind of gain their way, have not been able to get themselves the jobs in some of the gyms because of some of the cutbacks, and are sort of like, well, can we, is there any sort of sessions that I can teach through Combat Solutions? I'm like, yes, if you wish, there's a platform. And if you're wanting to do private clients, again, that's a secondary income for yourself. You can use Combat Solutions as a platform to sort of establish yourself, and you can pull from the people that are there. And for me, it's great because it's helping other businesses, but also it takes a little bit of the work and being there off myself. I can concentrate more on certain classes in the management, but equally it's a stepping stone for somebody else to start their own business. And I think that's more important sometimes, is the opportunities to give to other people.
Absolutely.
So, and the last thing I will say was that being able to diversify the service into podcasts, into audio, and into basically into other avenues that are going to be of interest to people. So at the moment it was kind of deferred a little bit, but I was able to contribute to a couple of podcasts, first as a couple of guests alongside Declan. I've recently just finished a podcast which is related to mental health with a chap in Newcastle, Australia, who's part of the reserve firefighting team.
Yeah.
And we were doing an initial podcast to help him get started, and it helped. I could introduce what I was doing. But yeah, podcasts are a way forward. Audio content, things that keep people going through their ears while they're maybe doing their day-to-day life, driving, whatever. All of these things I don't think would have been quite possible had I not spoken to yourself about them and been aware of just what could be done.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing what you're doing, what you're achieving, and you now know that you can bring that to you a lot sooner than what you first perceived or believed that you could be doing with it wouldn't be for another couple of years. Like, you've now got that perspective, and even though what's been going on, you still are working towards that, which is amazing. And again, I'll just say to everybody, Craig is available for podcast, get speaking, reach out. And if there's anybody, again, it doesn't matter where in the world, because we've got Zoom. So again, if anybody's looking to reach out to Craig and have a conversation, partner up to do anything as well, then do reach out to Craig. Craig, where is the best place for people to come and reach out to you and find you? Because then what I'll do is, when I promote the video, I will share those links in the comments or around the text. What's a couple of platforms that you would like people to come and find you?
Absolutely. So first one would be the Combat Solutions website, which is www.combatsolutions.co.uk. Yeah. On that website, there will be a contact, form. It all comes straight through to me. It comes onto this very device that I'm recording from just now, straight through to myself. There's no filter. It's managed by myself. I prefer doing that. secondly, we're on Instagram now, which is something I hadn't thought about doing until Melanie, you and I had spoken. Instagram, something which has been taking off, I would say. It's again from humble beginnings. So you can look us up on Instagram, Combat Solutions, with a little underscore in between the two. Also on Facebook as well. Look up Combat Solutions on Facebook. All these messages will come straight through to either myself or one of the other people that is running it, and I always try and respond to them personally if I can. So there's plenty of means, and they always come straight through to my my phone, which is usually in either my pocket or at night it's downstairs, and I don't answer it. During the night anyway.
I know. Thank you so much, Craig, and I'll get those links and I'll pop them around so that people can reach out to you further as well. And thank you so much, Craig, for joining me, and keep up the amazing work that you are doing, because it has been absolutely amazing, and it's been such a pleasure to and a great opportunity to work with you as well this year, and to keep that connection going as well, and watching all of the journey that you are having with everybody back home, for me back home in Scotland, which is amazing to watch. Absolutely. And hopefully at some point when we are able to travel internationally, that we can all get to catch up at some point somewhere around the world.
No, definitely. And now again, one of the things that I have found just before on this last note was that the continuing ongoing support from yourself, I think was always so invaluable. There's so much that I gained from kind of engaging you for the services and for your expertise. And I mean, for those of you who are part of Melanie's audience as well, and again, Melanie is an incredible lady, and I would dearly love to, if I can, and I will, this will happen, is attend one of her seminars in person, because the power that she has, and the influence, and the knowledge that she can convey in via Zoom, and the energy she has, imagine what that must be like in the same room. And that's something I'm going to look forward to doing when all these sort of restrictions subside.
Definitely. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much, Craig. It's been such a pleasure, and I loved catching up with you again on here as well. So thank you so much. And
my pleasure.
Have an amazing day.
You too. Anyway, I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, Craig.
Bye now.